you tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.
I watch you waiting for things to fall into place. You stare at your screen and slowly buckle under the weight. Whatever happened to going down swinging, going down in a blaze? I know you've had your troubles, and these ain't the glory days. But you know.
And this is Travisshallow with the song Let It Pass. The first thing that I thought when I heard his voice was wow. And we have him here with us today. Hi Travis, how's it going?
It's going well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. A total pleasure, and thanks to you for making the time. This is really, really, really good. Wonderful voice. I like the tone. I like the vibrato. Really awesome. And just an acoustic guitar. This is fantastic. Why don't you, take the chance and take the floor and, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure, man. So my name is Travisshallow. I'm a songwriter. I'm based out of Wilmington, North Carolina, here in the States. And yeah, Let It Pass was the last single that I put out, which was it was a strange release because we released it right in the middle of the pandemic, and but it kind of made the best of it. We had a release date for March and ended up pushing it back to June. And it was released on Cavity Search Records out of Portland, Oregon. And yeah, man, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
Wonderful. Okay, many questions come. So, do you have a professional career going on? You have are you signed with the label? Tell us the details of that.
So I'm an independent musician. I've been doing this for a living for about the last 15 years, and just kind of been navigating this whole scene as an indie artist. Unsigned. I do have my own record label that I normally release my music through, called Pearly Girl Records, and that's something that me and my manager kind of run in-house here. And it's a real small operation, but we kind of like keeping it that way. So this last single, Let It Pass, was released on Cavity Search Records out of Portland, Oregon. But I'd had a previous kind of relationship with them, with a song that I recorded on a full band record of mine called The Great Divide that I released a couple years back. There was a song on it called World Will Turn that was written by just a phenomenal songwriter. His name is Jerry Joseph. He's actually based out of Portland, Oregon. He's kind of been a mentor of mine and just a songwriting hero of mine. So I wanted to record that song of his and put it on my record. And so kind of the process of that is you got to figure out, who owns the publishing and kind of get them to sign off on it. And at the time, that was Cavity Search Records. So that's how I originally had met them a few years back. And then they reached out to me last year and they said, well, look, we're putting together a compilation record of a handful of artists that is on their label. And they reached out to me just to see if I had any had any songs that I wanted to kind of send their way to see if it'd be a good fit. And I had just got done recording Let It Pass, actually a demo of Let It Pass from my home studio here. And so I said, look, this is a new one. It was a real stripped down, real similar to how the final version of it came out. And I sent it to him, and he said, don't send me anything else. That works. Just go ahead and record it. And that was kind of the end of it, man. There's some of these things in the past, I've been a little trickier, a little drawn out, a lot of back and forth. This one was pretty seamless. I wish they were all like that.
Beautiful. I mean, sometimes I think when you know, like the first moment that I heard 30 seconds of your song, I'm like, I want to have this artist on. Sometimes it's that simple. It's so good. It's that good that it's so simple. Okay, good. Thank you. I understand a little better. But going back to your, home-based operation, what would be the remarks that you would want to talk about to people that, want to do the same, or, that are also musicians, or even to those that know nothing about how the music industry works?
Man, that's a loaded question. I would say this: as much as you can do on your own, do that. I've learned along the way, and maybe it's just because of the people that I've met and worked with along the way. A lot of them were great. So, but as much stuff as you can do on your own, do that. Nothing will ever. It's always a positive return on investment the more stuff you know how to do yourself. If that's home recording, if that's video editing, if that's marketing the record or singles when they come out, running your own website, running your own online store. It sounds daunting, and at most of the time it is, but it's kind of the nature of the business right now, because the way that social media is, and mind you, I've just now kind of dove completely into it in the last 3 years, probably 3 or 4 years, where I was like, I'm gonna try to give this thing a push on my own and just really see how far I can go with it. And as many hands that you can keep out of the cookie jar, because really, man, your audience and your fan base is your boss in a way. Like they're the ones you're trying to have access to, and show whatever you're making, whatever your record or new songs or merch or whatever it is. They're the ones that keep you afloat. And the way social media is now, you kind of have direct access to them, and they kind of have direct access to you. Now, there's a lot of variations of that, but the good, bad, and ugly, that's just kind of the reality of the business. So my approach to it in the last few years is, recording myself. Like the Let It Pass, it didn't touch any other hands. I wrote and mixed and mastered it myself. And even though it's a stripped down song, so there's not, full band production or anything like that on it. I went into it wanting to do that. I wanted to not have a bunch of other people's kind of involvement in it. And, I'm happy with how it came out. The couple new singles that I'm working on now, I'm approaching the same way, where I'm just doing here from my home studio. And so yeah, I just think any skills or things that you can learn and do yourself, the better. But it kind of also, a follow-up point to that, I know this is kind of long-winded, but I think it's an important note. It's like, it does get to a certain point. Don't be scared to sub stuff out to other talented people. So it's this kind of duality, or these two roads of do as much as you can on your own, but also realize that there's just things that it's just not worth your time and energy is better spent in other places, and sub those out to smart, talented, hopefully local people that you can kind of like develop relationships with, and kind of start to build your tribe. So do as much as you can on your own, but things that are just, they're just out of your skill set, sub those out to talented local people, and start to build your tribe.
Perfect. This was very, very smart and very wise answer. I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. There's a way that, this methodology is becoming the norm. Hopefully it will become the norm, because it's going to keep, also it's going to keep the music more true and more pure to what the artist wants to produce. And your song is a very perfect example. Even though, like you said, it's not a full band. In my opinion, this particular one doesn't need to be. It is perfect the way that it is. Travis, so tell us something that we can remember you by, something about the person behind the musician.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I would say, besides the music, I've really, I'll kind of bring this back home at the end. This is, so I started a live stream last March when all the shows got canceled. And I started it I kind of saw the writing on the wall when all the shows started. First, they started getting pushed back, and then they all just kind of canceled. It seemed like one fell swoop. So I started a live stream that I did twice a week, every Wednesday and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And I just sat down in a chair and just kind of played songs that were on my mind, on my heart, and like streamed it out on the socials, and people started tuning in and started building a community around it. And what I realized is, the music, sure, is a huge part of it, but, trying to be a good person too, is such a equally crucial part of it. As in, I always refer back to this Chris Rock. I think it's a Chris Rock quote where, the gist is this: if you see somebody that ran out of gas on the side of the road and they're just sitting there with their thumb out, nobody will stop. But if you run out of gas and you see somebody trying to push their own car, everybody will stop and help them. And it's a heavy quote that I kind of rely on a lot, meaning as soon as you start helping yourself and doing things on your own and kind of believing in yourself, it's been really kind of interesting how people will get behind you and rally behind you. So not only is the music part of it, people are kind of investing in you as not just the musician, but kind of as the person too. They're kind of along for your journey. So the live stream has really kind of opened my eyes to that, because I've kind of got more of a close kind of relationship with this community now. I respond to the comments in real time during the live stream, and it's kind of been like a nice back and forth that's drastically different from a live show, but it's got some overlap too. So I think that's not only, I love when people listen to my music, and I've got physical copies on my website that I'd love to sell you. I run my online store. I package everyone up. It's a labor of love. But at the same time, follow me on the socials and get to know me a little bit. I'd love to connect.
Wonderful. That was a very, very interesting thought. It made me think about it. Very, very interesting. And definitely, I'm gonna check your online store. We're gonna post your links together with this interview. I love it. I love the way you're doing it. I find a lot of similarities with what we're trying to empower and you're doing yourself. So excellent. So tell us a bit, how did it all started? Like, who influenced you? What are your musical references? How did you get interested in making music?
I mean, I don't really come from a musical family, but I did have an older brother that got into music early on, and had a. I remember when he got his first electric guitar. It was a cherry red Gibson Les Paul, and it was he's about 3.5 years older than me, which isn't that big of a gap once you get in your late 30s. But when you're younger, it's a sizable gap, to where that guitar was forbidden for me to even look at. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
as the younger brother, all I wanted to do was get my hands on that thing. So, I remember when I finally was able to, I was probably, 11 or 12, and just started kind of slowly figuring out chords. So that was, I could think, the initial, kind of getting bit by the bug type thing. Just my older brother. And, with most people with their older brothers, they just want to be doing what they're doing. And as time kind of went on, I moved about 2 hours south from where I was born to right here on the coast, which is still home base for me. And kind of hit the ground running, just playing whatever gigs that I could. I kind of started writing songs right away. I wasn't the best at covering songs, and so I just started writing my own, and I'm glad I did. It just kind of hit the ground running with it, and I scored kind of like a weekly gig. This was back in 2002. I scored this like mug night at a real busy bar, kind of a college bar on Wrightsville Beach called the Palm Room. And every Tuesday night, when I was thinking about this a couple months ago, every gig that I've gotten to date all stemmed from that one night. So, back then you used to kind of have to drop off a demo at the clubs, and it was usually a CD, and like they would either listen to it, and either hit you back, or a lot of times radio silence, you never heard back. But I kind of skipped that step because the person that was playing that mug night didn't show up one night, and I lived 2 streets over and had my guitar, and so I just kind of like filled in for him, and that was the kind of the real beginning of it. Every gig I've got since, or any opportunity that's come my way, all kind of stems back to that one night. So, wonderful. Big thanks to the Palm Room.
Palm Room. But also yourself is not. Sometimes I think I heard that 80% of making it is just to show up, and you were there, ready. You were ready to go there and to be there and to fill in, and that's really. I understand in my perspective. That's where the beginning of your success.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the beginning of the road. I did a lot. I made a lot of wrong moves along the way, but yeah, man, that whole 80% of making it is just showing up. I mean, I've heard that when it comes to being a dad and all types of other stuff too. It's just just show up, man. It's so important. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think still to this day, it's no matter what you're doing, man, you just show up when you say you're going to, and follow through with the things that you said you're going to do. And man, that's such an underrated quality this day and age. Totally.
Follow through and stick to your word. That's something that is very clear to us. That is very capital. Where else do you want to go? What else do you want to talk about?
So I'm gearing up for a couple of tours. We actually, we haven't even announced them yet. So I don't know exactly when this is going to be released, but one thing that I am doing, so this live stream that I've been doing, I've done I think 138 episodes of this. So along the way, I've been multi-track recording it. So basically it's just a way that each individual track, my guitar, vocal, whatever, they're all separate tracks. So I can go back after the live stream and kind of and mix it and tweak it a little bit. So basically, I've been cherry picking songs from the last 138 episodes that I'm mixing right now. So I'm going to be releasing a live record from the live stream, and that's kind of the next thing that I'm working on. Still don't have a release date for it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be this year.
Wonderful, beautiful. We definitely keep an eye on that, and as much as we can help you promote it. So if you were to give an advice to your younger self, what do you think that might be?
It would be get sober way before you did. So I got sober about 6 years ago, and yeah, thank you, man. I just had September 20th was 6 years, and if I could go back, I would have done that so much sooner. I would have just saved so much heartache. Everything's timing. Everything's, the universe kind of has its way of timing things out and putting them in your lap when they're supposed to be, or at least putting them in front of you when they're supposed to be. But I tell you what, man, if I could have dodged some of that kind of turmoil and those dark years, even though I was still writing songs throughout there, I think some of my better work came from that. It's totally possible to do, I would say, even better work sober. And I think I purposely, or I convinced myself that I wouldn't be able to do the same kind of work or the same kind of writing sober. And that was so dead wrong. That was couldn't be further from the truth. So if I could go back, I would say, look, go ahead and cut it out now. Save yourself a bunch of heartache and money, and start buckling down and doing the work.
Wonderful. Well, anyways, in any case, congratulations. Keep it up. This music you sent us is really touching. It's really wonderful, and you're a great musician. We're very proud that you gave us some of your time to speak with us. Travisshallow. The song is "Let It Pass." And really, all the best. And we'll keep an eye on those live streams and the release of live sessions, and follow you in your musical journey. All the best, and thank you. And until next one.
Hey, sounds good, man. Thanks so much for having me on. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'll definitely I'll keep up with you guys too. And stay safe and healthy, my friend.
Likewise. Okay, this is "Let It Pass" by Travisshallow. Enjoy.
The glory days, whatever happened to living forever? I thought I'd never die. And I know I've had my troubles. I'm keeping those days behind. But I know if it ain't meant to last, oh, I know if it ain't meant to last, but oh, I know if it ain't meant to last, you gotta let it pass.
Are you tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.